Hey, welcome. It's Captain Matt, Boater Secret Weapon. I want to thank you for joining us for this Sunday night live. We're getting ready to start here in just a couple of minutes here. We'll start about 8:30, but I wanted to welcome you. If you've never been to a live, here's what you can expect. Just go ahead and chat in your comment section, whether you're on Facebook, whether you're on YouTube. Just ask your question, leave your comment there, and then as we go through the time, I just kind of scroll down all the comments and I try to answer them. Now, if it's something that I need to ask you a question, I may ask you a question and just put it in the chat again, and I'll come back and I'll get that information so I can give you a more personalized response, something that's going to really add value for you. This is just something I do. One, it's great fun. I really enjoy it. It's helpful for the community. Just sharing my knowledge. Now, one thing that you need to know, I don't know everything about boats. I know a lot about boats. I've been a boater since I was 5. I've sold boats. It's something that is a big part of my life. With that said, I don't know everything. Matter of fact, sailboats, have zero experience with sailboats. Bass boats, very little experience there. Bow riders, deck boats, center consoles, jet boats, twin engines, stern drives, outboards, inboards, all of that I have experience with. And if I have an answer, I'll give you my best answer. If I don't have an answer, I'll try to give you a resource that will be valuable for you. If I have an opinion, I'll try to give you that opinion, but let you know this is what I think, not what I absolutely know. So I look forward to it. Here's a little video intro that a subscriber made for me. Thanks, Bo. And we'll see you on the live when it kicks off here in just a moment. Welcome everybody to our Sunday night live. We got a great group here, and want to thank you for joining us. We got a couple of questions to go ahead and jump right in. So we'll start with Joe Hoops. Joe Hoops is. I was kind of reading these out as we were getting started. So here is what Joe's saying. He's got some experience, looking to buy the boat. I'm gonna go a little different direction than what Saint did, or Bo, as some of you guys know him. But here's my thought: is the more boating experience you have, the more comfortable I am jumping right in. And obviously, as Bo mentioned, it depends on your budget. It depends on your financial situation. I'll say my father-in-law never owned a boat before and jumped in, bought an R5, brand new, right from the dealer. That's what he likes. He likes new stuff. He likes his stuff to be perfect. He takes care of his stuff. You know, what's it, 2018, I think. 6 years later, it still looks showroom new, except for the couple dings and dents that he put in it because, well, he wanted to learn by trial and error. I went out with his son and daughter, showed them how to operate the boat a little bit, but I'm the son-in-law, so if he didn't ask for training, I offered my information. He knows what I do, and put some dents and dings in the boat. That's going to happen on a new boat. There's going to be a mistake that you make because you're a newer boater, whether it be not having the skills to operate the boat. The more you ran the boat with your dad, the less that's an issue. But as Bo mentioned, it's different to own a boat than to just run a boat. There's other stuff that you need to think about, like I don't know where you are, Joe, but putting it away for the winter and making sure that you don't get mold and mildew growing. Some of those mistakes are easier to make on a less expensive. I'm a big fan of first time boaters buying pre-owned, couple years old, lower in their budget. Make sure the other thing that's valuable is to know how you're going to use the boat. So I'm gonna go bigger here. How you're going to actually use the boat. The more precise you are on that, the more time you spend around boats, the less stretching you are financially, like the more comfortable you are financially, the more I say, yeah, go ahead and do it. Just educate yourself. Realize there's a lot of stuff you don't know as a new boat owner. Do our boot camp. Our boot camp's totally free. If you struggle with boat handling, we got all the trainings that will help you with that. Go out, actually do the exercises, the building blocks, the docking mastery section. Do that. Have a good relationship with your dealer, because Cobalt is a premium brand. I would say the same for Formula. I would say the same for Chaparral, for most Sea Ray, most Regal, that they're going to provide a lot of support for you as a new boat owner. Take that support. That's going to help you avoid making some of the mistakes that Bo is alluding to, that Saint's alluding to. And he's exactly right. There is going to be something. You mess up putting it on a trailer. You mess up putting it in the dock. You don't do something exactly right with the maintenance. There's a number. It's endless. The list is endless. And if you watch the boat fail videos, you see some of them. But on the flip side, there's something to be said for jumping in and being like, damn, this is awesome from day one. You're not like, oh man, this boat doesn't do exactly what I want. It drives me crazy that there's some scratches in the gel coat, some dings on the hull that I didn't do, that there's some stains on the seats, that there's some little blemishes places that somebody else used the head before I did, that I don't know what the status of the maintenance was. Like, there's that emotional side of things, and I am very budget constrained. Okay. So I don't have the ability to say, yeah, it's not a big, like, I can pay for that. My father-in-law has, due to my brother-in-law and my father-in-law's, he's put multiple $2,500 counter rotating props on because they dinged them all up. And his pocketbook is considerably different than mine. So I have, and Bo, I think it has a different pocketbook. Everybody's got their own different financial situation. I fall a little bit more personally in Bo's camp of, hey, if I'm buying something new that I'm getting into, I would probably buy a little bit older and used. Partly budget driven, but partly because I know there's learning curve. If you are a little bit less constrained by budget, and I mean, it sounds like you're dialed in, like, what you want to do. I want to do some surfing, but I still want to do cruising. I want to get out on the water and have a premium level experience. I want that boat to be rock solid under my feet. I want it to look sharp. I want the dealer support. I want the warranty. Like, it seems like you're pretty dialed in there. The more confident you are in that 2 years into it, you don't say, son of a bitch, I bought the wrong boat, because then you're going to take a big haircut on whatever price you pay. Figure in the first 2 years, 40% discount if you go to trade that thing in the first couple of years. Throw out the last 3-4 years during the pandemic. That's not happening no more. But if you're going to keep this boat for 10 years, like you say, I think you're okay. Just get as much support as you can from people like me, from other people on YouTube channels, the dealer, technicians, other boaters, Facebook forums, knowing that not all advice from experienced boaters on Facebook is good advice. some of the advice is awful, and they say I've been a boater for 40 years, and like me, I've been a boater for since I was 5 years old. I could give terrible advice. I try not to. I try to stay in my lane of what I actually know, and not go too far out that. But sometimes on Facebook, you just get bad advice. So sort through that and double check things and have an expert resource, specifically your local dealer. And I think you'll be in good shape with those caveats. So hopefully that makes sense. Um, Kings of the City, welcome. Ray, welcome. 211, welcome. I saw that you wanted some fishing advice from Brock. I think that's a good place to get fishing advice. LJC, welcome back. Good to have you. Brock, good to have you. There's the fishing advice. Struck out on Friday and today. Hey, part of it's just being out there. That's a win in my book. But more fun to catch. Yes, Herb, I wanted to talk about this, and I'm going to scroll through, see if there's more comments or questions, but I'm going to come back to that because I had it pulled up, and I'm like, I need to talk about a couple of things that came from those. Yes, Ella, I don't know everything. Matter of fact, there's probably more that I don't know than what I do know when it comes to boating, because there's a lot to it, for sure. Yeah, very, very, very sad. Derek, good to have you back. Did you have a chance to talk to your mechanic buddy about my engine coupler? I have not. I have not. He is in up to his eyeballs in winterizations here. We are October 1st. It was 85 today. But there's the winterization start rolling in, and I haven't had a chance to talk to him yet. Matter of fact, let me make a note to just send him an email. Coupler. But I remember that conversation. Let's see. Down here, cooler weather, overcast days, a lot of fish have been moving around. Try shallow points in the AM, deeper structure later in the day. I was just telling my wife that I think I might start to do a little bit of fishing. I don't know if I've got the patience for it or the mentality, but I feel like Brock's having a lot of fun out there in the water catching fish. Can find swimming around the bait balls too, but there is, just like my boating knowledge comes from being 5 years old. Brock has been fishing since he was a young kid, and so I think there's a lot of knowledge that you need to come up with to have the level of consistent success that he does, versus just trying to throw a hook in the water and seeing what happens. Was 80 here in Michigan today. Beautiful, obviously, with my busted boat. Yeah, you almost like want it to be crappy out. BC Outdoors, good to have you. Tried the bluff walls just off the main channel. And it's for those that Jason 211 is on Lake Cumberland in Kentucky. Right now, make it a little bit better. Nothing really big happening. Bought a lawnmower from work. There you go. I know Barletta is top brand in pontoons. What was the first manufacturer to basically say, hold my beer? There is, like, Harris was the first pontoon. Harris was one of the first pontoon builders. So they were the first ones to do it real. Like, people were putting the 55-gallon drums, strapping them together, putting a deck on it, and throwing a motor on the back in the 60s. Harris was one of the first ones to do it commercially. I would say Premier Pontoons has been a pretty big innovator, and with some bigger horsepower, with some more interesting designs. I mean, they've got a 10-foot beam model. They've got the double decker. I don't know if they were the first one to do that, but I think they're the one that does that the most. Playcraft, like, if you look at, and it depends what you mean by hold my beer, but Playcraft out of Lake of the Ozarks, pontoon. Pontoons. They were the first to say, "Hey, let's make these things fast." And they're a smaller builder out of, and they do some deck boats. They do some other style of boats, um, but pontoons is their thing. Come on, give me a. So you can see 27-foot, but because they were on the Lake of the Ozarks, where big, big, fast speedboats, Bajas, fountains, MTIs, or there's a bunch of MTIs down there now, and the performance boats. They've got the shootout, the Lake of the Ozarks shootout, which was a couple weeks ago, and it's a place that big, fast boats go, and it's rough. So they build a really, really stout, really rock solid pontoon. But if you look at the graphics, they are, the let's see here. Let's go to their even their more basic models. They've got that, the checkmate. This one I'm like checkmate. That's they've got that look to them, and they've been doing it for a long, long time. And you can see even this layout with the back there. They did the all the way around the back, but you can see it's a pretty stout pontoon. They've even still got the fence rails, like that's old school 90s styling right there with the little fence rail up front. And so they were ones that did it. Bennington is the first one that came out with the 10-year bow stern warranty, and they packed dealers in. They packed, like, in our Charlotte market within 60 miles of me. There's one, two, three dealers within 60 miles compared to like individual dealerships. And they dominated the market by packing in dealers. Their 10-year bow stern warranty that people are copying over the last 3 or 4 years, but they were doing that 10 years ago. They were doing that maybe even when I was selling, which I stopped selling in 2014, I think. And we had Harris, but they were big on, I'll call it quality. They were probably the best manufacturer until Barletta came in, and I put Harris up there with them. But with that 10-year warranty, they they stood behind it a little different. Harris did come along and up their time frame, but previously in the boating industry, it was, hey, that's a component part. You need to go to the component manufacturer's warranty, and boat builders are like, that's not our fault. That's the component's fault. It's like, you pick the components. Like that didn't make any sense to me outside of the motor. That's a little bit different, but oh, the stereo went out. That's not our fault. That's the stereo manufacturer's fault. You got to go to them. And Bennington said, that's ridiculous. We're going to take everything in house and we're going to cover it. You come to us, we'll deal with the manufacturer on our own. And they were the first ones to do that. So started teaching my other half to drive the boat, case of emergency. Yep, that very, very smart move. And also, there's something about having that skill that makes it more fun. When I did my twin engine best boat captain program, one of the days of filming, they said I was borrowing the boat. I helped them out, taking delivery, just checking things over, kind of walking them through the systems, how the panels work, how the generator works. They just didn't know. And so I helped them out, helped them a little bit with the maneuvering, put it on the dock the first time for them. And for that, they let me use their boat to do the twin engine version. And one of the days I was filming, the wife came out with me because the husband couldn't. And I think he had a master plan, is because she was real nervous about getting out of the boat. And she had no clue. It was a 37-foot four winds with twin Volvos. It was like a 35 something. But anyway, it was a big boat. She'd never been around boats really. And it was overwhelming to her. when I took her out and I showed her how to operate it, and we spent 6 hours together. I was filming, so she got to hear all my content. I spent like 2 hours with her practicing at the buoy. And then we went to the slip, and I said, "Hey, you want to put it in your slip?" She said, "Yeah, I feel good." And she put that right in the slip. And she told me afterwards, she said, "Matt, I've been really nervous about this boat. It's too big. I'm not comfortable going out. I'm just a nervous wreck all the time." They had little kids. And she said, now I realize it's not that difficult. Like it's actually, I put it right in the slip without any trouble at all. And her confidence level and her fun level on the water rose significantly. And I know, Jason, your wife loves being out of the boat, minus the tailbone incident. But it will give her another level of relaxation because she doesn't have to have that worry. Oh shit, what if I've got to bring this back to the dock? Oh, what if I have to do something? And now, she might really, really enjoy driving, and you can kick back and relax sometimes, and trade off in different situations. So, Arsaw, welcome. Good to have you. That's a new name. Not being careful. My condolences, but it was an accident. Yeah, and that's exactly what I'll talk about. Let me scroll ahead. Um, oh, we got a lot, but let me pull it up here, um, just real quick. Cobalt 33 accident. I may have to go to my Facebook page to do this to find it. This might be dangerous just scrolling through my Facebook. Cobalt. Accident. I don't remember if anybody remembers where it was. Um, R33 or A33. Um, I don't remember where I saw it. Well, I'll pull it up at some point here. If anybody has the link and they want to send it to me, I'd appreciate that. Just winterized the boat today, ready to do some detailing. Yeah, get that baby nice and clean before you put it away. Sent pics from today at Cumberland. Let's see here. That was Yeah, man, that is a beautiful day, and like it's amazing. It's amazing how you get the whole lake to yourself when you are out after Labor Day. I remember being at the Lake of the Ozarks in Missouri. Thank you for sending those, Jason. The Lake of the Ozarks in Missouri, and Labor Day weekend, and I was dating a girl at the time, and we stayed after Labor Day, and I was like, oh, we'll just stay till Wednesday, and that way we're not traveling. And Labor Day, nuts. Tuesday after Labor Day, we went out. Everywhere was closed. We couldn't get gas, we couldn't get food, but we had the whole lake to ourselves, and the weather was still perfect. So I like that. It looks like a beautiful day. Very, very nice. All right, let's see. Marcella, this is my first experience buying a boat. Is it really worth buying new versus a used? Few years, hours. Okay. So here is, and I don't know if you caught our conversation earlier. We had something very similar. the more boating experience you have, the more you know exactly what you want. Style, quality level, horsepower, layout, all of that stuff. And the more flexible your budget is. Okay. So the less you're pushing yourself in your budget and you're financially well off. Okay. Then I'm like, hey, you can go new and get the warranty. And there's something to be said for that warranty and that peace of mind for people that are new to an activity that, hey, I don't have that risk. It's worth it for me. Uh, but the more you know those things and the more that you have the skills to handle a boat, the more, hey, yeah, go new. You're good. Um, the more you're pushing your not pushing your finances, but there's an advantage in my mind to going used. Now, right now, the gap between the price of a brand new boat and a boat that's 3 or 4 years old, it can be hard to justify going to a 2020, a 2019 even, because the price gap between that and a brand new boat with full warranty is pretty thin. So in that case, the justification is I'm only saving 5 grand. I'm only saving 10%. Um, I'll just go new. It's you'll make it up on the resale because it's that much newer. And once that used boat hits 10 years old, the financing changes, the financing gets more expensive and more difficult. So there's that to consider as well. So if you're going to go used, I like to say that 5, 7 to 10 year time frame, you're still getting good financing rates. If you're going to finance a portion of it, a lot of the depreciation has hit. It's still going down. Don't get me wrong. A boat's always going to go down, but it's starting to level off a little bit. So especially right now, the market's a little bit weirder than normal because the used boat market hasn't started coming down yet, but the new boat market, they're negotiating. You got to negotiate. You can't just pay what they're asking. You got to really work them, look for rebates, and rebates. You're starting to see them. I saw Manitou had a rebate on that they were advertising on Facebook to cold traffic, or I was probably a retargeted ad where I'd been to their website and they targeted me there. So it can depend. It can really depend on your situation. But that price gap, I did a video on it. I don't know if it's released yet, but that price gap right now it's kind of hard to justify that 21, 22, 20, 2020, maybe at 18 or a 19, you start to get there because you're starting to hit that 5 year mark. And that can be where, all right, it's out of warranty though. So you've got that added risk that you potentially take. So um, let's see here. 211 time, tough place to be, crazy weather. Moon phases are also a factor. I didn't realize that played a big factor here in freshwater. Cold front does Thursday night tournaments only. Moon phases are also a factor, especially if they hit. Oh, when a cold front does. That's weird. I didn't realize that. Um, Two, I was offered a nice new boat with the 200 Evinrude G2 outboard. Should I avoid the brand? Yes, I would. I would not. I would not get a G2. The one is those engines are very complicated. There are not very many technicians that work on them, especially now, because one, they didn't sell very many, that they closed it down. So obviously that tells you they weren't flying off the shelves. They didn't have a ton of technicians that worked on them. Your resale is going to be a nightmare. And if that thing breaks down, finding a good technician that wants to work on a G2, then you can call to some techs in your area and be like, hey, I need to get a service. Even the dealer that's trying to sell it to you. I'm trying to get service on this 2021, we'll assume it's a 20 or 2021 G2, what do you charge? And a lot of them be like, we don't touch them. They're just very, very, very technical. And if something gets off, they can be very temperamental as well. So I would steer clear, no matter how. There's a reason that that there probably is a attractive price associated with that boat. Saw some jump around, very few, couldn't get any bites. Tactic for the day. Everyone's good engine. The problem is, very little support. That's exactly right. Parts are short. Didn't even mention the parts because there's not many of them, and because BRP shut the brand down, and they didn't build for that long of a period. There's not that big of an aftermarket, and you're just asking for trouble, for sure. And mechanics are rare. Bo, you nailed it. 2018 used Sea Ray SPX, brand new Bayliner. Okay. Depending on the condition of the 2018, I always say this. My preference for me, assuming the 2018 SPX is well taken care of, good solid boat, serviced regularly, the pricing is going to make an impact. I think I would go with the Sea Ray. You're getting a better quality boat. You're getting a better quality boat, and you're getting a boat that was built before the pandemic, which the 2024s, they should be back on track. But you have to remember some of the components that are in that 2024 were built during the pandemic when material was scarce. And so I think what we're going to start seeing is that some of the component parts that maybe had less quality raw materials put into them could have some issues. Hopefully it's not a big deal, but it's just probably a little thing. But I think you're getting a better value with the 2018 SPX, and you'll have a better resale value in 5 years with that boat, because the new boat's going to depreciate quicker. Well, that 2018 is 5 years old, and although it's probably at a price that's about where it was new, the numbers are going to work out better in your favor. The way the depreciation curve, I think, is going to start adjusting going forward. So and the caveat depends. Depends on the condition of that specific Sea Ray 190 SPX. Okay. Yes, motor that's still in production for sure. Yeah, absolutely. Bennington, I think, changed the pontoon game. I think Avalon Tahoe was a big part of pontoon starting to go in saltwater. People saw that, oh, we can do that. And more than just the big like tour boats that you go to the island to shell hunt, or you go to watch the dolphins at the touristy locations. Those have been around for a long time, but it was the first time pleasure boaters said, "Oh, I can put a pontoon at the coast," and dealers said, "Oh, maybe we can carry pontoons here at the coast." Bennington made it just explode with the warranty and the quality level, and at the same time, all that was happening, horsepower went up. You could put 300 horse on a pontoon. They made them stouter, and then they continue to go. At 25 guys weigh at least one fish out of a field of 98. 11-3 took the win. I was in second. Nice. Congratulations. 8-9. One more to go this week. All I got to do is finish above 15th now. I've got the win. That's awesome, man. That is awesome. Well, good luck. Is that let me know, Brock, if that's next week or when that final one is. Yes, 100%. Would you rather go 60 on a pontoon are a boat like a Baja. Okay. So for me, the like the it depends. It depends on what kind of mood I'm in. But 60 on a tri-tune and a little bit of chop is a dream. Like you don't even notice it. You get that bow up, you get, you're riding 2/3 of the boats out of the water, and you're just going, and it's smooth as could be. But you're on a big living room on the water, right? But it's fun. Like I haven't run 60 on a pontoon, but I've run low 50s on some pontoons, and it's just fun. Um, but there's something to be said for jumping in my brother's 32, is it 32 or 36? I always forget. But on his Envision with twin 454s and putting the hammer down, getting that baby trimmed up. But if it's rough, like we run it down to Lake of the Ozarks, and I'm usually, if we're taking that boat, we are going down to a bar near the even busier section, like Redheads or something like that, and it gets rough. But you've got the spray splashing off. You get bouncing in that chop, and you got the I've got my kids up front that my youngest especially likes to ride up on her knees, holding on to the bar up front, or if there's no bar, she'll tie a dock line across. And if it's not too bad, if it's I'm not going 60 either. I'm usually going 40, but she's up there with her cousin Waylon, my brother's son, and just riding the waves. I remember doing that as a kid, and I love to see it. I love to see her up there having a great time. So it's two different kind of experiences. But there's something to be said for that V hull, just the spray going out, and but there's also something to be said for seeing somebody in a Baja or something, look over, and you're rolling by in a big old 25-foot tri-tune. You're like, hey, come on, try to catch me. So, um, matching the hatch more, basically swim baits, top water around. Okay, McHenry, Illinois. Um, Thank you, Bo. I appreciate it. Anyone think Elon Musk will make a boat brand? And see it now, Aqua, the world's first electric cruiser. That would be super interesting. I don't know if the market's big enough for him. And there's like he likes to be a first in the industry. So I'm coming into an industry that already has some electric boats. I don't know if he would be interested in that because it's not a big enough. Like I got to crack the code to make it happen. Like sending rockets that can be reused, electric cars before electric cars were really a thing. Flying to the what do you call them? Space rocks and mining for raw material, asteroids to mine for raw material. But that would be pretty amazing. Thanks for the contribution, Bo. I appreciate it for sure. All right, McHenry, Illinois. Okay, let me. Cobalt. Okay, there we go. All right, so I'm gonna pull this up in just a little bit. We'll talk about it. Thank you, Herb. I appreciate it. Marcelo will tell you from experience, you will love having warranty. Yeah, there and Jason 211 was in that situation, a newer boater. Let me know if that's why. I think my internet this is trying to turn ads around on me. So you will learn a lot the first year of running the boat. Absolutely, 100%. And Jason's got a good dealer. The dealer is so important, And I know Jason, every time it comes up, it always talks about how helpful his dealer has been and how important it is, especially as a first timer and buying any new boat. Um, Thank you, appreciate that. And Jason got our best boat captain program. I'm pretty sure he did the boot camp, but the best boat captain single engine outboard. You can pick whichever one is right for you. I don't know if he did the trailer like a pro, but we have that as well. So, and definitely get the boot camp. The boot camp is available as well at boaterbootcamp.com. You're just talking about prices. I bought a 1990 Sea Ray Cuddy for $5,000 9 years ago. Sold it a couple of years back for $6,000. There have been some times where the boats are selling for more than what they, like you could do that. I know we had 2 boats that my dad sold for more than what he bought it for. Now there's maintenance, there's upgrades that he did to them. But there were several cases where that happened. It's not the norm. I don't think you can plan on it. And the pandemic was kind of a really, really weird one. But it certainly can happen, especially if you put some elbow grease in it and you spruce it up and you do some work, even just a good solid detail and doing maybe some flooring or something. I'm going to go dark on fishing for a week till the lake turns over. Water gets around 70, 75, 80. Probably a good idea. Super frustrating. Okay, so it's this Thursday is the last one. We'll have to celebrate on with another first Vegas victory if it all comes together. Brooklyn Mark, welcome. How do you think a 20 or low 20-foot WA walk around or cuddy would do up north around New York City area, Breezy Point, Jamaica Bay, Lower Bay? I don't know the area well enough to say how it would do up there. I don't know that water. I don't know that water. But what I would do is, let's see here. And I'm not on my usual 3 screens. My third screen's not working for some reason. All right, so the more protected you are, the less I'm concerned about 21 feet. Walk around or cuddy, walk around with an outboard is probably a better bet, just because you're in the salt versus putting a stern drive in the salt. And I don't know many cuddies that are outboards, but if you're protected here, what'd you say? Breezy Point, Jamaica Bay, Sandy Hook. I think Sandy Hook is up here somewhere. Let's see if I can. South Oyster Bay. Jamaica Bay. Upper Bay. Yeah, the more protected the water, I think you're fine. I've got a friend of mine that ran a 16-foot Key West. I think it was 16-foot Sea Pro with the 90 on it. He was in New York, but I want to say he was probably they were in. Let's see here. They were near Hoboken. So they may have kept it on the river. I don't know exactly where he kept it, but he ran that up there, and they did, it depends on where you're going to run it. But I would think in those areas, the more protected you are, I think you would be okay. But what I was going to say, Brooklyn, is I would go to some of the marinas that are around in these areas and just walk the docks. If you see 21-foot walk-arounds, then you're probably okay. If you only see one or two of them, then that's a different story. Maybe try to go on a weekend if they haven't started hauling boats out yet, or go to a boat yard and just talk to some of the hands there, and they'll tell you. They'll give you a good idea if that's a good style for up there. But I would guess it would be. Looking at the water, looking at the ones I could find anyway. Lower Bay, I mean, you're still somewhat protected. I'm not sure what weather's coming in here is blowing in, but if you're running in any of these barrier islands behind those, you're usually in pretty good shape there. You're somewhat exposed there if it's a northeast wind, but otherwise you're going to be reasonably protected. Would be my gut, but ask around locally. Looking at a 17 Invader bow rider with the 150 Mariner. Invader, I think I know Invader. 17-foot Invader Mariner. Did we look at this? No, that's not the Invader I thought it was going to be. It's not giving me a picture. Okay, this is the Invader that I was thinking of. Oh, maybe it is something like that. I don't remember where you're at, but I don't know this Invader, the center console Invader, but I have heard of this Invader. I don't know anything about him, but that's the one. That's the brand I was familiar with. Well, wonder if they're the same. 83 bow rider, bow rider, bow rider, bow rider. Yeah, this is the one that I was familiar with. So that is awesome. Zeroing in on the next one. There was a 94 C Pro 20 Cuddy with trailer. Slipped through my hands for $5,000 would have been a good start. Yeah, that's great bang for the buck for sure. Just make sure you inspect it fully. Here's the thing, Marcelo, is, oh no, that was Brooklyn. Here's the thing, Brooklyn, is there'll always be another one. I promise you. Matter of fact, let me show you this. Let me show you this review. Let me show you this review. So these are my Google reviews. We've got 77 reviews, but this is Adam. He bought a Cobalt up. He was in Lake George, New York. But Matt took time to advise me to be patient, which paid off in spades. Our new to us boat was not only a great value, but in great condition, more than we wanted. Purchased some of his courses, and no matter your skill level, you get something out of it. But he sent me like this. I asked him to leave this Google review because he sent me like 3 emails, kind of updated me on it. Here's what it is, sent me pictures of the boat. He said, there's more to the story. I said, well, tell me. And so he said, but that be patient part, like he put in all 3 of the messages. There's always going to be another boat out there. I know it feels like, oh, that one got sold out from under me. I let it slip through my fingers. I wasn't quite ready, but it was perfect. And I understand that, but just know another one that's even more perfect will come along, and take your time, inspect it. Don't feel like that's, oh, if I miss this one, I'm never going to find one like it again. You will. I promise you, if you're patient, the right boat is out there for you, and just take your time inspecting it. Like you said, but in great condition, even more than we wanted. So I wanted to share that one. I had this pulled up, but if anybody has had a good experience, I'm trying to get to 100 reviews. Just feels like like I'm trying to get to 50,000 subscribers. We're like less than 700 away. It's just in my mind, like that seems like a good number to shoot for. So if anybody's had a good experience, If you just Google boater secret weapon reviews, and then you can click here, and it'll say leave a review. Where mine says get more reviews, it'll say leave a review, and you can leave a review on the. It'll look like this. It'll look like this, and you just scroll down to the review section. That's me. That's me, like 1980 or so, with our dog, my dog Pepsi. But you could click there. I very very much appreciate those. Marcelo 4. Inboard versus outboard. I should prioritize reliability or space when buying a new boat. Hurt inners are harder to maintain. So Marcelo, I don't know if I know where you're located. Let me know where you're at. Yeah, let me know where you're located, and then I'll give you my, because it's going to depend saltwater, freshwater. That's going to depend on my answer. Try harder. I like that. The insult investor. I found out it's cheaper to live on my boat on a trailer than it is to put it in the water. So now I use it like an RV. Hey, that can work. That can work. What's the name of the? Uh, I like this audio book series, Trawler Trash. The It's a guy that his wife passes away from cancer. He kind of loses it, and embezzles a bunch of money from his work that he's been at for a long time. And him and his ex-wife, or not ex-wife, but his wife that has passed away, had always dreamed of getting a trawler and going out on adventures into the coast, going to the Bahamas and whatnot. So a couple years after she passes, he's waiting on the life insurance. He embezzles the money and he just goes. And one of the times that the boat he buys he gets all these misadventures, but he goes and he has it blocked up, and they're not supposed to live on it in the yard. But he gives the guy a couple beers, and he spends 2 weeks on his boat in the yard because he's got nowhere else to go. He just packed up and left his life, and it's pretty. If you're into books, it's a pretty good story. He always meets a lovely lady somewhere in his ventures, and has a good time. So Trawler Trash. I don't know who wrote it, but I like to get them books on tape and listen to those in between some business, sales, and marketing books. So I forget what his name is. Travis something, not Travis McGee. That's the Busted Flush. That is another kind of he's a private detective. That's another good one. Brock, last Thursday nighter is the 5th. Okay, yeah. So that's this coming Thursday. Going to be a big one for everyone who always shows up last to grab the last points they can. Probably between. Oh wow. All right. Well, we'll be Thursday night. I'll be 130 boats parking for 60. That's good. That is good. Hoping that you pull it out, getting the top 10, not top 15. Go for top 10. Kevin Dewey, welcome. Good to have you. That's a name I don't recognize. Sure hope he doesn't do it. Already hate Mercury EVs. Yeah, it is. I had there was somebody in the comments the other day. Let's see here. Somebody in my comments that does electric boats. And it was on my Stern Drive where he was saying, "Yeah, that sounds like a lot of headaches for a Stern Drive. I don't know why anybody would not go electric." I was like, "Well, there's some issues with electric as well, but there it is. Stern Drives are dead." Comments. So I was going back and forth with them, and I like to get people's perspective, but well, I thought it was on this one. Oh, there it must have been this guy. Solarity Technology. So I knew he was some kind of electric guy or solar guy, but I just thought it was kind of funny that he was like, "There's electrics. They're perfect. There's nothing." I'm like, "Oh, there's a few things that you need to think about." I would not park my boat in a marina with Tesla boats. Yeah, I think. Hey, I will say that I think there's a place for electric, and I think it's small outboards. I think what we're going to see is you're going to see small outboards go electric for little tin boats, 30, 40, maybe even up to 50 horsepower, where they can just run off a house battery. You can put a solar charger on it, put it on a trickle charger, and go longer. You don't have to worry about the weight. You don't have to worry about the fuel. It's easier for dinghies, things like that. I do think that there's a place there for boats that have short runs, like some commercial ferries that have smaller, shorter runs. I think that could make sense if they've got a chance to plug back in and recharge, and they're just going back and forth. But for 90%, probably 99% of the people that listen to my stuff and are serious about buying a boat or being a boater, I don't think electric in the way most of us use it. I just don't think it's practical in the next 10 years at least, but probably longer. Anybody that fuels up their boat on an outing, um, I just don't think it works. So and yeah, and then you add the chance of a fire. You add a chance of a fire with some of these batteries, and whole marinas can go up in a flash. If you've got a hot battery fire, forget it. That's not good. Kevin, I've got an '03 Sea Ray Sun Deck 270 Sun Deck. Uh, the gel coat, the bottom of the boat is separating from the fiberglass inside the front floor hatch towards the center hatch. What causes it? And it is a big deal. Yeah, it is a big deal. If I let me read this again, just so I know I've got it right. The gel coat, the bottom of the boat is separating from the fiberglass inside the front floor hatch towards the center hatch. What causes it? Okay, so here's what causes it is water. Water's getting between somehow there's water. Maybe the boat sank, maybe the boat got submerged, maybe that front ski locker got filled up with water. Maybe the back ski locker, the 270 Sun Deck has a ski locker between the helm seats back, but it also has a pretty big in-floor locker in the front bow that's a pretty deep locker. So here's what can happen is water can get in there. You know, water is going to seep. Water will get in any place that there's a little bit of a sliver of a crack. Water's going to get in. Once you get water into the structure of the boat, like the way a boat is built is they've got the mold, they spray the gel coat, they lay a barrier coat, then they lay the fiberglass mat, resin, fiberglass mat, resin, fiberglass mat, resin, fiberglass mat, resin. When it all cures, it goes from layers to one solid piece. Like if you core a boat, if you drill through it, you're putting a transducer in or a rod holder or something like that, you'll get a puck and it'll be one solid piece. You can see the layers, but you can't separate them. What happens, Kevin, is when water gets in there, it can seep in between those layers and it can start separating. If you think about a piece of plywood that gets really, really, really wet, all of a sudden those layers that are glued together start peeling apart. Once that happens on your hull or any piece of fiberglass, you cannot get them back together. So what you need to do, depending on how bad it is you got to grind it all out with the grinder, and then you got to relay it. Okay. So here's what I'm going to recommend. One is, I haven't recommended this guy for a while. Boatworks Today. There's a guy named Andy that's got a YouTube channel called Boatworks Today. I would guess he is a great fiberglass and gel coat guy. His channel is awesome, and I would guess if you search his, it's called Delamination. Delamination. Let's see if he's got one. Fiberglass core replacement, rebuilding a form replacement. Yeah, go check that out. You'll learn a lot about fiberglass. Let's see if Aaron at Born Again Boating, Aaron. Which, by the way, Aaron's got. If you're a do-it-yourselfer kind of guy, Aaron is releasing his new. Come on, Aaron. His new academy. I don't know what he's calling it for sure, but he is, for $300 a year, you get access to over, I don't know how many videos he does, but videos on electrical work, videos on gel coat work, videos on putting in depth finders and electronics and boat repair, like just all of these boat systems. He walks you through it. If you haven't watched his YouTube channel, you should. It's fantastic. But if you are a do-it-yourselfer, I think for $300, the information that you're going to get is going to save you thousands and thousands of dollars, because you'll be able to do stuff yourself. So check him out, Born Again Boating, and join the academy is what you want to click. So anyway, but his channel, oh shoot, that's Born Again Boating. His channel's awesome too. Delamination. Fixing a boat floor. Yeah, so here's one. This one might be boat crash, worst case scenario. You can see that they're, so a couple of things may have happened. Is maybe the boat was run aground and there was damage that wasn't fixed properly, or maybe that ski locker got filled up, or the boat got left in the rain, the bilge pump died and it filled up. Some way or another, water got in there and it's causing it to separate, which means that if it's still damp, if it's still wet, you're still getting rot. That delamination is spreading. If it gets into the stringers, now you're going to have a soft floor. You're going to have bigger issues structurally, and that big old 270 is going to become very, very invaluable, except for the motor. And so those are the things that I would check. You can check the rest of your boat, the screwdriver. What you're listening for is a nice solid tink, 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 instead of a thud, thud, thud. That's the sound you want to hear. Tink, tink, not thud, thud. And just do that all around your boat, all around the floor. Take any carpet out, in the lockers, and you're listening for a dull sound. And those are the areas that, okay, we might have some issues here, and see what you're actually dealing with. But don't ignore it, because it's probably getting worse. So unfortunately, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but hate to be the bearer of bad news for you. Marcelo, bow rider versus cabin boat, 21 feet size, planning on using it with the family, 2-year-old, really worth the protection of the cabin if planning 4 or 5 hour ride. Sorry. Marcelo, just so you know, I don't take any money from manufacturers. So if you want to make a contribution, it would be appreciated. Not necessary, not required, but I'll answer your questions to the best I can. But it is always appreciated. Give me a little bit more. I keep getting you mixed up with the other M that's asking questions here. Marcelo and Brooklyn Mark. Tell me where you're located, because that's gonna give me a little bit of adjustment for how I'm going to answer your question specifically about the. Let me see if you've done that already. Oh crap! I'm getting way behind. I'm getting way behind. Okay, so yes, anchor locker where it starts. Thanks. Okay, you're welcome. You're welcome. Yeah. So it hopefully saltwater Uruguay. Okay, interesting. Well, welcome from Uruguay. I think you're the first Uruguayan, but we do get international every now and again. But okay, so saltwater. Um, all right. So you're asking. So I'm going to say outboard. So I'm going to say outboard. Now, if you've got in Uruguay, you may have some cuddy cabins that are outboards. In the U.S., almost all cuddy cabins are stern drive. So that that takes that out. I don't know what the weather is like in Uruguay. I also don't know how to spell Uruguay. Um, how far south are you guys? All right, so you are. All right, so you're fairly south, about the same as we are here. All right, so here's the advantages and disadvantages of the cabin boat. Yes, it gives you protection, gets you out of the weather. If there's storms and stuff that come up, then it can be nice. I think it makes your boat, depending on. All right, so there's not a whole lot of. Let's see, are you getting to that? All right, that looks like a lake there. That looks like also not access. So okay, so you're going to be boating here. I am not a big fan of what I call a bow rider in this area. Now, like a center console, a dual console that's made for saltwater, that's got scuppers that can drain off. I don't know enough about what boats are available in your area, but the walk around, I think, would be a good option for you. That hey, if you get out and you get caught in some weather, you've got a lot more stable boat with that walk around. You can get the kids down in the cabin, and they can be nice and safe, knocked around a little bit potentially, but nice and safe. Or they can sit in the back of the boat. I would probably steer clear of what I would call a bow rider, and what I'm saying bow rider is like, would you say 21 feet? Sea Ray, like a Sea Ray SPX. This style of boat, I would steer clear of. If you look, like, it's not very deep, but something like this, 210 Dorado Scout, this style of boat, although it looks very, very similar, the differences are major in saltwater. If you notice, the freeboard is higher up in the bow, and then it comes down. You'll also, I don't know if we'll get a good picture of it, but it also, the way this boat drains. Yeah, there we go. So if you see these here, let me go big. If you see these here, those are drains. They're called scuppers. If you take a wave over the bow, or you get caught in a rainstorm, or somehow water's getting in the boat, it's just going to run right down the deck and drain out. You still have a bilge pump down here. There's kind of a well that's down there with all the maybe access to the fuel cell, the battery may be there, some cabling may be there, but there's a bilge pump there as well to pump water overboard. Whereas this boat does not have that. This boat, if you look at the lines of it, even you know, it doesn't have that higher front compared to this. So this type of I call it a dual console. This style, you might be okay. The I mean, that's wide open ocean. I don't know what the weather patterns are there and where you're looking to take this, but if you're hanging out in that bay, you're probably okay. If you're running up this river, you're okay. But I think I like the walk around with the cabin for you, if you're going to be operating out here more than back in here. Okay. So, and again, just like I told Brooklyn Mark, is go to the local marinas around there and find out, are they running dual consoles down there? And if so, how are they running them? Are they running um let's see here, 21 foot walk around boat? Or are they running this style of boat here where, if you look at that, you take a wave off the bow, a wave over the bow. One, it's a lot taller, but it's going to just wash off the sides. And the little bit that does come down this little walkway here, you've got scuppers on this style of boat too. And your kids and your family are going to be well protected. So this is the style I would lean, and I would lean towards an outboard as well, because of the saltwater situation that you're in. You can tilt it all the way up if you're leaving the boat in the water. You can flush it much easier if you're trailering or using a marina. This is the style I think that would make more sense for you in that case. All right, $500 dream boat. I paid $500 for my 24.5 inboard 260 horsepower OMC Marathon 1985. Lift broken, motor frozen, fixed both by myself. That's awesome. You from inside it. I love that. It's like 211. Jason, he likes to join every now and again from his center console. That's awesome. If you've got the skills and the know-how and the tools and the space, it's and I mentioned Aaron's Boater Academy, how to fix your boat academy. Like if you can do that yourself, you can really get a nice boat for a very reasonable amount. I mean, $500. Most of that, I don't know what you had to put in parts, but most of it's labor. And if you've got the place to fix it, you've got the tools to do it, and you've got the time to do it, and you enjoy it, yeah, man, you can come up with something pretty great. 19. We looked at the Sterling once, I think. Coming off in flakes. Yeah, that's delamination. That's exactly what it is. Love learning how to drive the boat today. What I was nervous at first, but yes, after the first little bit, I enjoyed it. Maybe 211 will let me drive more often. That's awesome. Yeah, there's a Michaela. There's a certain confidence level, and as you get more and more confident, it'll become even more and more fun for you. There's just something freeing to be the one, and also I don't know if this is a desire of yours, but hey, take your friends out on the boat. That having that option, you're like, oh, I can take Jason's got to work this weekend. I can take my girls out. I can take whoever out, and we can go have a good time. And that possibility opens up, which is awesome too. So, Jason, let her drive more often. Seeking some 2019s. That'll be quite a bit. They're Boston Whalers that have come down. Yeah. You're starting to see the used boat market adjust a little bit. You're still seeing the people that are way out of line. I had a guy email me about a dealers in California that weren't willing to negotiate much at all off MSRP, and he said that they had 2022s on the lot. I'm like, that deal is not going to be in business very long if they don't get rid of those. So yeah, we're starting to see some discounts. I was offered a 2013 230 SLX Mercury, 80 hours, well maintained, same price, new Bayliner. All right, so Marcelo, yeah, all right. Again, going back to being in Uruguay, if you're running, and I don't know where in Uruguay you are, but you said Salt, so I'm guessing somewhere on this coast. Um, the more further back in this little river that you'll be boating, maybe not even Little River, I don't know what river that is. The Uruguay River. There we go. If you're running up in the Uruguay River between you and Argentina, that SPX or that SLX, it would do okay. But if you're taking that boat out in here to this bay, whatever this bay is called, it blows me away that we get international people. I mean, still 20, 24, 25 people that listen. These videos usually get 500 or so people checking them out. It blows me away that we're international. But the more you're operating here, again, that walk around, I think, is the way I would go, the way I would lean. All right. I'm insult investor. Okay, there we go. It's nice. Can fix it up, move around, replace exhaust, some through hull. Trying to fix up the OMC stringer, 800 stern. Everyone called about, said that won't touch it. Yeah, that's on my boats not to buy video. And unless, hey, if you've got the inclination and the know how to do it yourself, you know what you're getting into. Just know that they're going to be difficult. They will be a difficult thing for you to deal with. They can solve the battery fire problem, putting a sealed metal casing around it, an exhaust stack that the fire comes out of rather than from. Oh, that's interesting. That's interesting. When I was the E-Vision Marine. 180 horsepower outboard. So I was on this boat, and they had a display. I was hoping they would have a picture of it. There's kind of, this is their battery box. If you can't really see it that great, but yeah, they had a sealed up box. But you're right, the fire would come out the seals if there was anything in there. And I don't know. I don't remember talking to them about it. I was more wanting to get them to give me a straight answer on how long will this battery run at regular usage. Not, it will run 5 hours. Well, that's at the lowest R. That's an idle. How much will it run if you're actually driving the boat at 4,000 RPM? And they would not give me an answer. Even the engineers were not having it. So, Captain, welcome sustainability. A little bit of a booster high this past weekend. Sunny 80s till Thursday. Summer hanging in there. Yeah, 500 kilowatts, especially the way I drive. For those of you that don't know, Sustainability's got a 400 on his Bennington Q, and he likes to get it up and going. That, I don't know if he's hitting the 60 that we talked about earlier, the 60 miles an hour pontoon, but he's hit top end speed. I know at wide open throttle every time out is my guess. Solarizing my boat, so it'll run panels, motor only in the day. Interesting. Hybrid electric. That's very interesting. On the comment that I was getting, that I checked out his website, and he did the solar as well, which I think is an interesting concept, especially for some sailboats where it's an auxiliary power. Curious to see what 80 amps alternator would do. Idle hook to electric tiller that I made. Interesting. Um, yeah, that's my father-in-law. He took some friends striper fishing up on Lake Loudon in Tennessee, and the pictures they were just huge. Those things are massive. Um, 302 old run on a motorcycle carb. Interested in that too. Lawnmower carb. um, ankles where it starts. All right, I got it. We're coming up on hour. Let's see here, hour and 20 minutes, and I still want to talk about what happened. Um, Still want to talk about what happened there. Let's see. I always try to show every comment. Um, yes, you can see exactly why I recommend the dual console and not the Cobalt Chaparral Sea Rays, but the dual console Scouts, Whalers, what Vantage, the Grady's. I forget what Grady's is if they even got one. Is Sea Pro considered a lower quality boat? Yeah, Sea Pro is in the value to lower mid tier, depending on what you get. With that said, now I take that back. That's Sea Fox. Sea Pro's in the mid tier. 211's got the 248 Commander. And Sea Fox. Sea Pro is going to be in that middle range, in the mid tier, kind of the lower. I would say the lower portion of the mid tier is where I'd put them. $500 Dreamboat. Yes, they definitely give entertainment, bow riders, and all over for sure. All right. Thanks a lot for all the help. Mainly use it on the Bay Area. Usually pretty calm. No wild rides in the ocean. SPX type should be fine. Yeah, it not my disadvantages is not knowing the water. Only being able to look at a map and making some guesses. I was offered well maintained is key. Yeah, on that style, if you're going style to style, I think I mentioned this earlier, although it was a 2018 is what I remember seeing. Um, 2013 is now 10 years old, but well maintained. 80 hours is real low for a 10-year-old boat. I mean, 8 hours a year. I would ask the question, how many years has this boat sat? I'm not when you say inner Mercruiser, I'm not a big fan of the stern drive, especially a stern drive that hasn't been used much in saltwater. If there's any deferred maintenance at all, Marcelo, that boat is going to give you problems. That boat is going to nickel and dime you with issues that that could potentially be catastrophic. So just go through that engine completely. Run a bore scope into the risers and manifolds. Take a look at all that. If you don't know what you're looking at, get somebody that does to check it out. That's not the seller, and be very cautious of that, because that's not many hours. That's a 10-year-old boat, and if that rust has gotten started from an early time and then it sat, there's problems waiting for you under the hood. So just be cautious. Be very cautious with that. In your opinion, what's the best mid-tier center console brand? If you watch my video, if you watch this video here, the best and worst mid-tier, the best one is a mid-tier that has the best dealer in your market area. That's the best one to buy. There's no best in the mid-tier. That mid-tier is so very, very similar outside of a handful of points. Sportsman's has the great drainage system, the below deck drainage system. That I really like. Scouts look really good, but when you start looking at the hardware, like they all use the same hinges, they all use the same cleats, they're all using about the same grade of gel coat fiberglass. They use a little bit different lamination schedules and material. Some of them are using composites, which is just composite is two different materials put together to get the best of both properties. So Sportsman uses a composite with foam. Some of them use different type of composites, but the best one is the one that has the best dealer in your local market area that's convenient to you get to for warranty work. That's the best one. If you watch the video, um, it's going to show me an ad. All right. I know I make my money with ads on these, but I think we did like $1,900 last month. But so not a significant amount, but it would be nice to be able to skip ahead on my own videos without getting the ads. So if you look, there's one, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight, nine. Um, there's nine mid-tier brands that you can check out. Um, and they're, they do things a little bit different, but the dealer is what's going to make it. I would say Sea Hunts is a good solid one. This is probably um, in order. I don't even know. Sea Hunt, Pathfinder, Scout, Sportsman, Key West. Maybe Creval would go up. Sea Pro, Nautic Star, Robalo. Nautic Star, Robalo would go down towards the bottom. But that's the dealer. A great dealer in any one of those would raise them to the top. So let's see here. Where are we at? The River Shiver. We're sustainability. We're getting old, but yeah, the through hull exhaust is yeah, it's a lot, especially when you're in tight quarters on the water. That sound really travels on the water. Crazy idea to eliminate stern drive. Let's do a straight shaft from the motor. That's you need U block origin. All right, I'm going to check that out. Free open source content blocker. Interesting. I will check that out. Thank you for that $500. No more ads. That is good. Okay, so I think I've got the questions. Let's go to. All right. So this says couple dies, McHenry boat crash, neighbor described helping at scene after boat landed in the yard. So this was a Cobalt, 33-foot Cobalt on the Fox River up in Illinois. 62-year-old, 62-year-old man, 61-year-old woman. But from the pictures I've seen, they ran through the house. Very busy, unreasonably high temperatures. The River Shiver event, Fox Lake brought the boaters out. Showed the boat speeding across the river and into the house. 33-foot Cobalt. So, couple of things is one is you've got to keep the speed down I mean, you guys are on this video, so you know. But those that are just kind of bouncing by, is keeping your speed down, especially at night, is critical. Um, they're just the everything looks different when you're on the water at night. You can there can be a bend that if you don't catch it, you're going to run aground. There's like in our cove at the Ozarks, there's a dock that kind of extends out at the point of the cove, and there's people that have run over that dock like multiple times a year because if you're a newer boater, you tend to hug the shore just as a comfort level. But I'm going to close this down because it's pulling ads up, and again, I need that blocker. Um, but let's see if we can watch this without. That's going to be a 15-second ad. So, but anyway, keeping the speed down, it gives you time to react. It gives you time to see stuff. Like I remember running on Lake Loudon at night. I'd never been on the lake at night. I'd been on the lake many years, like 3 or 4 years at this point. I knew where the markers were, but at night things look different. I was coming around the bend. Listen, oh, that might have been a mistake. Yep, that's not gonna. That's gonna make me watch the ad again, isn't it? But anyway, keeping the speed down is critical. And by looking at this, I don't know anything about it, but the river shiver tells me it was probably a big end of season party, and if there was drinking involved, that is one of the most common causes for accidents like this of boats that end up in on the lawn or in houses. At every lake around Lake Norman, Lake of the Ozarks, here at the River Shiver. Let's see if we can watch it, but I don't think it's going to happen. Yeah, that's not going to happen. Um, but the bottom line, why I wanted to talk about this is that boating is amazing. Boating is so much fun. It can be such a huge part of your life, but there has to be a level of respect for the the danger that comes along with it. You know, just like driving, like there's a danger that you could get in a crash. In boating, I think we've got a lot of control over the outcome of our day by one knowing how to operate your boat properly. Like that's going to help significantly. Knowing your limitations as an operator, um, I'll have a couple beers when I'm boating. That is it. Like that. A matter of fact, most of the time now, I drank more when I was younger, as probably most of us did. But drinking and boating slows your reaction times down. You're not as focused. And there's so many more boaters out on the water than there used to be even 10, 20 years ago, that you've got to pay attention. But when you put too much alcohol in, and not enough skill and too much speed, bad things happen. You know, you've got to be cautious out there. You've got to know what you're doing, and you've got to make good decisions as the captain of your boat, because what probably was an outstanding day before this happened, turns deadly. And as Ray said, it's sad. It's sad that it happened, and but it doesn't happen it doesn't happen without making bad decisions. And you've got control over your situation. So I'll leave it at that. But I did want to touch on that. So all right, we're an hour and a half in. I think we're going to call it quits here. Brock, um, good luck on Thursday. Can't wait to hear about it. And yeah, that sound is pretty awesome. But it's like I can't take it long. My brother's got through haul captain's call on his boat, and when I'm running it, I always turn it off. It's just I can't have it all the time, but every now and again the brum, 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 brum is it does sound good for a little bit. But All right, so I'm going to call it quits here. Brock, good luck. Good luck on Thursday, and hope the conditions are good and you come out on top. Thanks everybody for Zach. You're late. We're signing off, man. Thanks for stopping by. You can watch the replay here. And let's see what else does $500 have to say. Got my boat exhaust goes through the stern. Also has brass through hulls. Transom they meant for a different motor. Rubber cover. Thinking about converting it to a through haul. Yeah, if you can install the captain's calls, the on off, so you can reroute it, and when you want it, it's there, but you can turn it off when like you're sitting. This is what would happen. You're at the dock, and you just are sitting off the dock talking to a friend or whatever, and you got to turn the boat off so you can actually have a conversation. And then the wind blows you, the current moves you, and now you got to crank it back up, turn it back off, crank it back up, turn it back off. So, all right, guys, have a great week, and thank you, everybody. If you're in freezing area, don't forget get your boat winterized properly with the right antifreeze, biodegradable antifreeze, and keep that baby dry and clean. Let's see here. Can't agree with you more about driving at night. Everything looks different. Saturday night, full autumn moon, amazing. River shiver, amazing to watch from the shore. That's the way to do it right there. I don't even know what the river shiver is, but I'm going to check it out. So, all right, guys, thank you all very much. We'll catch you next week.